from the dead.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It's Condition back here with another video for you guys today. Back at it in Insurgency Sandstorm. I've been gone for a while, but I'm finally back. I do want to upload around at least 3 videos of Sandstorm a week because I love this game. But nevertheless, let's jump right into this video. So, today's video, we're going to be talking about what is the best loadout for you, alright? For you specifically, right? So how do you choose between all these things, right? How do you choose whether to port more attachments over a frag, or should you be light carrier? Should you have armor? What kind of things portray to you, alright? So let's start off with the weapon, right? So let's go here in the weapon, and which one do you choose, right? Do you go for the more expensive one, or do you go for the cheap one, or do you go for the middle one? And honestly, I'm going to tell you the one that has been working out the best for me, alright? And that's going to be, I honestly just choose the cheap one. And why is that? The difference between the weapons, as you can see, is obviously a lot of the recoil, you know, the less amount of recoil, and maybe the velocity the gun has, but really they're not really that different. Why? When it comes to a game like this where you one-shot people in the head and it's maybe like a 2-shot to the body, you don't really need to have these, you know, overly expensive weapons, you know, unless you're talking about this one right here, the G383, which is a pretty good in single fire, you know, then you don't really need to worry about changing the stuff. So honestly, I wouldn't really go for the typical M4A1. I'd honestly go with the cheap version. And then what I like to do is I like to pimp out that cheap version. Alright, I guess we're moving on to the next round. So there we go. Again, you know, the AKM, this is my other class. The AKM being the cheapest one is going to be the one that I'm going to be using. And like I said, I like to have those extra points. Now, if it's not that big of a difference, right? For example, the AKM is worth 3 points, and then the FAL is worth 4 points. You know, then maybe you can choose the FAL, right? But in the other one, when it's a 2-point difference, then that's when things start getting a little bit complicated. So we're gonna go with the AKM here. I like to go with the cheapest one, and then with the optics, I like to go with the middle one. I don't like to go with the most expensive one. I just kind of like to go with the middle one. On the underbarrel, I always like to put a foregrip. For some reason, I have a bipod here, which I'm gonna go ahead and try and change it up to get that extra point. And for the barrel, I always love the compensator because it reduces that horizontal recoil. And I mean, recoil in this game is a really, really big part of the game, so you always want to try and have that on. Tracer rounds, they're worth 0, but you don't really need to put that if you don't want to. I try to have extended mags, honestly, when I can. Laser sight, I do put, but in a shotgun. So now let's go in here, and there's some pistols, obviously, you can put that are worth 0. So now this is something I can do that I didn't notice. You know, sometimes you don't notice, and you have like a point laying around here, like the extended mag, right? So you don't need this. So go ahead and check your classes. Now we're going to go back to the AKM. Now I can go ahead and choose the foregrip, which is actually going to reduce my vertical recoil. So just like that, we fixed up a little bit in my class, and we made the AKM a little bit more OP. So when it goes to secondary weapon, do you want to have a secondary weapon? There's only one reason when you would want to have a secondary weapon, and that is if you are a marksman. Because obviously, you know, if you're trying to sweep a building or something like that, you know, instead of trying to quick scope some people, it would be good to take off your pistol. But when you're talking about, you know, if you got a shotgun, which they're basically snipers, and if you get an assault rifle, I really don't see a need of putting a pistol in your class, you know? I mean, unless it's free like this one, which is 0, then go ahead and put it, although it does affect your weight. But, you know, it's only a couple percentage there, so it's not really affecting you that much. Now, let's go to the second one. Do you want to put frags in your thing? Are frags good in the game? So, smokes could be kind of good. The thing is, if you are playing where you have a captain and, you know, he calls in smokes, you don't really need to have a smoke because usually, I mean, if your captain is playing good, he'll smoke out the path that you want to take. Smokes are pretty good. Frags are good as well. You know, they're good to clear out buildings because a lot of people just kind of like camping around the corners. So frags can be good, but I don't really see myself using explosives that much. Molotovs, frags, or anything like that. I don't really see myself using that. So if you guys want to add something else to your gun, I'd honestly suggest you to take the frag out. There we go. I guess it, somehow I got kills. I don't even know. But yeah, so I was just kind of like in the waiting in the game, so I will be right back once I jump into the other game so I can explain the rest. So I'll be right back. Alright, let's get back into it. So we're finally into another game, and we can finally show you the rest of it. So, like I was talking about frags, I don't really see the need of putting explosives. I just find myself not really using them, and honestly, just really going and clearing out with my gun. I've never really found myself using the frag, and it's something like I forget. It is a fast-paced game, but especially if you are playing ranked, you don't really use your frags that much. And, once you die, it's still a while until you respawn. I don't know. I just don't really see myself using frags. So, honestly, you can go ahead and take the frags out. So now let's talk about the armor, right? Or the light carrier. What should you be in here? And honestly, I am going to go ahead and tell you guys that the best one that's worked for me has been the light carrier. This game, even the light carrier, for you guys who don't know, light carrier and heavy carrier is the one that sets the ammunition that you have on you when you're playing. And light carrier has honestly been really, really good for me. I believe you have around 3 to 4 mags, maybe something like that, and I've never really found myself using all of my mags. Even on snipers, on assault rifles, I find that I either die too early, or, I just don't really use them, especially because this game, again, the recoil is really hard to control, so I find myself using a lot of single fire weapons in this game. So once you set your weapon to single, you tend to use less ammo than when you have fully out. Now, if you like to be this big LMG guy at the back and you got a lot of ammo and you just like to spray and pray, then maybe you want to go ahead and use the heavy carrier. But if not, honestly, I just say that you go with the light carrier. Plus 2 extra points is a lot in this game. Now let's go with the armor. Again, because you die from 1 to 2 shots. Heavy armor may add that extra bullets, but it's honestly not really that big of a deal. Maybe the biggest impact that you're going to have is more protection against explosives, but the thing is, as you guys can see here, considerably reducing mobility. So when you have this on, you're going to be this big fat dude running around the battlefield, and you ain't going to be moving at all. So if you guys love that mobility, honestly, go ahead and stick to light armor. It's honestly going to be pretty much the same. I don't think I've ever faced somebody that, that I've been shooting a lot and I'm like, yo, why isn't this dude dying, right? I've shot him 10 times. No, this ain't going to happen in this game. So heavy armor is not really going to, improve you and give you that many more chances. It's just going to reduce your mobility. So I'm going to go ahead and say that you guys keep it with the light armor. And then the accessories, which is just the gas mask. Sometimes it costs. I believe it's in the other side. It's 1 point. I honestly don't really put it. I'm just going to put it right now because I guess it's free. But you don't really see yourself using the gas mask that much. The gas mask is when, some people put in the smoke and the chemical clouds. So when it comes, I haven't really seen chemical clouds a lot. Obviously, you avoid taking damage from the chemical. But there is sometimes a lot of smoke, and what it prevents is from the dude coughing, which people can kind of spot you. But, it's not that big of a deal. So if it costs 1 point, don't go ahead and don't put the gas mask. Just leave it around. So hopefully you guys did enjoy this video. Hopefully it did kind of answer a couple of your questions. So I always remember, and choose the lowest one in the class. For example, the lowest one in the class. If it's at 1 more point, then you can go ahead and put the best one. And just honestly, try and have the least amount of points everywhere, so you can go ahead and pimp out your main weapon. That is, the main weapon is what you use the most. The main weapon is what you're always going to be having. So that's kind of like the way I see it, right? What is 95% of the time, what am I going to be using? I'm going to be using the gun, right? My main gun. So if that's going to be 95% of the time, then I'm going to want to use that, right? But now if, for example, the light carrier, and if you use the heavy carrier, which you have 2 explosive shots, now if 40% of the time I'm a guy that's always taking down the helicopters and shooting down explosives and all that kind of stuff, then maybe I want to reconsider a little bit, right? Or if I'm the guy sitting in the back, just spraying and praying, maybe, I'd want to use the heavy carrier, right? So it just depends on your playstyle, but normally this is the normal playstyle that you'd want to have when you are playing this game. So like I said, hopefully you guys did enjoy. Peace out, everybody. And I'll see you all in the next one.